Gloucester, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you clear to land on 9 all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, and let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow on the final, and as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in tight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Three, two, one.
Hello. Hello. Hello, and welcome to the Flyer live stream.
I'm Dave Corderwood, in case you've been on the planet Zog for the past 2 years. And we have a slightly different lineup tonight, as you can see. Now, before any rumours start, and I really want to categorically deny those rumours, there has not been a coup. In fact, Ian is away on business in Madrid, where we are staging one of our Pilot Careers live events on Saturday. Right about now, he'll be munching tapas, sipping a sherry, or looking forward to the suckling pig. Or he might be watching Livestream. In fact,
actually, we know that's not true, isn't it? Because he checked in on us just moments ago.
yes.
It's like he thought maybe we were all going to take the night off.
Yes, but I had polished my script at that point, so I wasn't going to let that get in the way. Anyway, a big thanks and welcome to Sarah Nadia, who is stepping in tonight as our guest presenter, joining Ed, Johnny, and myself. Sarah has a lovely piece on the Flyer website at the moment about a flight at sunset. It's supposed to have some video, but some idiot, me, lost the footage. So I hope to have that added soon. But first up, we must thank SkyDemon for sponsoring the live stream. And here is the latest SkyDemon tip from Tim Dawson himself. To roll VT.
Hi, I'm Tim from SkyDemon. Welcome to today's top tip. In the pilot log, you'll have noticed that SkyDemon works out the minimum safe altitude for each leg of your flight. If your leg is planned below its MSA, we show it in red here, and also outline it in red in the virtual radar. There's a warning shown here, and you can fix it like this, which will reset the planned altitude for the leg to be the minimum safe altitude. But how does SkyDemon work out the minimum safe altitude in the first place? Well, you're actually in full control over this. In the planning options, scroll down to minimum safe altitudes. Here you can tell SkyDemon how close you're prepared to get to terrain and obstacles, vertically as well as horizontally. For example, if you're going to be flying in mountain valleys, you'll need to narrow the horizontal terrain clearance to get an MSA that's helpful to you. And if I increase the minimum vertical distance from obstacles, our leg goes red again, because I'm now exceeding the MSA. For more information on any of our features, go to skydemon.aero and choose Help and Support.
Well, how close are you willing to get?
That's it, yeah. Ian claims he's been kidnapped. There's a coup. It's not true, Ian. We know that's not true. Simply Plain Bike Guy says, "Love the new room, Johnny." And you've gone all dark and
moody.
Moody. So.
Yeah. I love it. Shaves the face off better, I think.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yes.
So, where would we be without SkyDemon, eh? I know where I'd be, completely blinking lost. So now it's time for the weather. We've got a recorded video from Simon, which is slightly worrying because normally when it's good weather, he's here to tell us about it. So I think he's hedging his bets a bit. So let's roll Simon's video.
Hi everyone, sorry I can't join you this evening, but hopefully you are well and planning to enjoy some flying this weekend. As for Friday, high pressure is out towards the west of Ireland on Friday. It brings this northerly flow through many parts of the country. We're probably looking at quite a brisk northerly at that. I think speeds of around 15 knots, could be gusts up to 25 knots, perhaps even 30 knots down these eastern coasts. Some showers as well affecting eastern coast of the country. Bases here probably going to be about 2,000 feet in the showers, tops at about 15,000 feet. Elsewhere, it is brighter. We've got some sunny spells, typical bases of around 3,000 feet, tops at about 12,000 feet. And then on to Saturday, and for Saturday the high pressure stays with us. The flow goes more into a northwesterly. I think again it brings some showers across northern and northwestern parts of Scotland. Bases in those showers 2,000 feet, tops at about 15,000 feet. Elsewhere it's fair, decent sunny spells and bases 4,000 feet, tops at about 10,000 feet. Again those winds probably about 15, gusting 22, 23 knots across parts of Scotland, perhaps also over the coasts of Norfolk, but otherwise the winds tending to be lighter. And then for Sunday, high pressure again is still in control, still got this cool northerly flow on Sunday. Some showers just drifting onto these eastern coasts, one or two of those quite heavy, particularly northeast England and the North Norfolk coast. Bases around 2,000 to 3,000 feet, tops at the back 12 to 15,000 feet. Elsewhere again, the cloud is going to be fairly well broken, and we're going to be looking at bases of around 4,000 feet with the tops at the back 10 to 12,000 feet with some really good visibility around. Just watch out for 1 or 2 showers in the afternoon across the northern coast of Wales. But generally, it looks it is going to be another fair one on Sunday. So whatever you're doing, have a fantastic flying weekend, and I'll be back with you hopefully live next week. Bye for now.
Well, that looks pretty good. Anyone got any plans of flying at the weekend?
Maybe
Sarah?
Possibly.
No,
Sarah, going flying at the weekend?
No, I had my fix last weekend.
Okay.
Although the weather was actually shocking last weekend, so I clearly picked the rock weekend. So I got so unlucky, but it was fine. I flew.
Okay. What about you, Johnny? Are you upping your time towards your 20-22 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get that really, to be honest, at this stage. I think I'm way off, but I'll probably go up tomorrow. I managed a whole 10 minutes last night, which was good fun, but I'll probably squeeze something in on Saturday as well if I can. So got to make the most, and probably on Monday as well, because everywhere's going to be quiet on Monday, I think. So I'll get up at some point.
Yes, yeah. As Paul Fraser-Benison says, yes, but everything is postponed, which leads us neatly into, Dave, your first news story, I believe.
Yes, yeah. Well, there are some airspace restrictions in place, and there's various ones popping up as well. It's all to do with the funeral of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and the fact there's going to be a whole lot of heads of state coming into the UK over the next few days for the funeral on Monday. So you can expect these restrictions to be fairly strictly enforced. On Monday, which is actually a bank holiday, many airfields will be closed all days, and some others for a limited period. We have a thread running on the forum to identify these, and the link for that should pop up in a minute. I don't think I'm allowed to touch anything really, because I tend to switch things off, but I'm sure somebody will put the link in the comments.
Just working on it now.
Right. So so once we know about what airfields we know are going to be definitely closing, they include Popham, Solent, White Waltham, Blackbush, Rougham, Tour Western, Bicester, Henstridge, Elstree, North Wheel, Dunkers Sherborne, Deanland, Shoreham, Goodwood, Taton Hill, Owens Cole, and Manchester Barton. Clearly, the advice has to be to check NOTAM and with the airfield if you're thinking of going flying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Could be a good day to go flying then.
It could be
Quiet
a good day.
skies.
Yeah. I think on Monday I'm going to be an emotional wreck most of the day, so I don't think I should be allowed near machinery at all. So,
right.
Yeah, next story.
Yeah, so who here, hands up if you've been to Le Touquet?
No.
Yeah.
No, never been.
Oh, yeah. So, just Sarah then.
Oh, that's surprising. Well, it's like the classic go-to when you get your PPL. It's the pilgrimage to Le Touquet.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Le Touquet they're in the process of, or they're going to, rename themselves in tribute to Queen Elizabeth II. And it's, as Sarah was saying, it's a really popular destination. Probably, well, it must be the most popular continental destination for UK PPL holders, and they've decided to rename the airport after Her Majesty. I've not found, unless I missed it in the news story, Dave, exactly what they're going to call it now.
No, they haven't.
No, they've not publicly said that, but they are going to presumably use the name Elizabeth or Queen Elizabeth II somewhere in the new name.
Yeah.
But it's a nice, I guess, a nice touch really, and for an airport that sees lots of British pilots visit it, and France is a country that did, there was quite a bit of love and respect for the monarchy. So
I think in all the kind of news following the sad passing of the Queen, that is the one piece of news I would not have predicted.
No, well, Ian spotted it and thought this is satire. So he had to go.
Well, I was thinking, did she visit there? Was there some sort of link to her, or is it just sort of something random? But it didn't say in the article, did it? So
Maybe she used to nab the helicopter every so often and just make kind of covert trips there.
Yeah, just to get that map fix.
Well, that whole the Touquet plage beach thing was actually built originally by an Englishman, and so there is a very strong link with England.
Okay.
Yep. So
I like it. It's a lovely place. It's sort of like a French Hastings. I don't know if you guys have been to Hastings.
I have, yes.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It's all like little cobble streets, and that's exactly what it felt like. And it's got a little mini golf and everything. It's quite a nice place to go.
Oh, mini golf! I'm in.
You can't put your clubs in that RV3, Ed.
No, that's true. I'll have to make some fold up or little ones, like little Tyrannosaurus golf clubs.
Well, just in case you're interested, every February there's an amazing motorcycle race at Le Touquet on the beach, amongst the sand dunes. About 35 million years ago, I actually did the race, and it's exhausting. But so lots to go to. Next story. Ed.
It is all about the first Cirrus Vision Jet shoot pole. So this has been signed, obviously the Vision Jet certified, and a massive number of them delivered. The Cirrus's personal jet. It's kind of been revolutionary, and but last week was the first active deployment of the CAPS parachute system, and it saved the life of the pilot and the 2 passengers in the jet. Obviously, the aircraft was developed and certified with the onboard parachute system. It also has the safe return auto land system as well, created by Garmin. But in this instance, the pilot opted to pull the chute. It was on approach to Kissimmee Gateway Airport in Florida, and the weather was reported to be poor with a thunderstorm in the immediate vicinity. The aircraft landed in a heavily wooded area, as you saw from the photos. Apparently, they had to get to the aircraft using chainsaws. But the occupants, one was reported to be seriously injured, the other 2 just minor injuries. But I think it's fair to say that probably a chute pull in the Vision Jet probably saved 3 people from being killed. So it's good to see that someone used that system. So, and it worked, and it was tested to work anyway. So
yeah,
I know it was incredibly. Cirrus put a huge amount of effort into the whole technology of trying to bring something as heavy as and as fast as a jet down under parachute, and that clearly works. So
yeah. In fact, in the Cirrus training, they tell you to use a parachute if you're in any kind of doubt about what's happening. Yeah, they want you to pull it early, so you've got a chance of pulling it at a decent height.
Yeah, Nick Allen says, "What happens if you operate the chute and the auto land? Do they fight it out?" That's a good question, Nick. I suspect the chute trumps everything. So yeah. But interesting to see that. So
yeah,
presumably there must be a speed at which you need to deploy it under.
Thinking back to when Ian and I went out to Cirrus when we've got the first opportunity to fly the jet, I seem to recall that if you deploy, there is a certain deployment envelope, speed and altitude, and I believe if you pull the handle, the aeroplane will use the avionics, the software, kind of the software capabilities to try and get the aeroplane into the envelope. So if it's beyond speed-wise, it will do its best to get it into a position if you've got the altitude, so that it can safely deploy the chute. Then obviously, once it deploys the chute is carefully designed that it kind of reefs and doesn't immediately deploy. So yeah, I think it's a clever system. So yeah.
Also, a very clever system is the next story. Do you like the way I sort of segued into that? But Lightspeed have just launched a new headset, and it's called the Delta Zulu. It's got a raft of new features, including a built-in carbon monoxide detector, and also something called Hearing Equity, a system which tests your hearing in each ear and then balances the sound for each ear. I mean, Lightspeed's always been known for its high-end smart headsets, but the Delta Zulu appears to catapult them into a new league. The idea of a a CO detector built into the headset is quite a good idea, really, because it's close to the air that the pilot will be breathing, and therefore should be fairly accurate.
And this is the whole. I think Lightspeed are calling this part of a new line of safety wearables, aren't they?
Yeah. They're sort of hinting that there's more to come on this. So,
and I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what else you would do. I guess possibly something maybe to do with maybe something to do with altitude or hypoxia potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, no, an interesting thing. I do believe. I think that I've seen a couple of questions asked about it as people have kind of been getting to know that this headset is out there, and I think there is one question relates to the fact that I think the sensor that detects CO is something that has a lifespan. So Lightspeed have created a headset that will have a service lifespan, and hopefully you'll be able to take the sender out as a sensor. And I think it might be something like 10 years. But I'm guessing there's going to be an element of that will need servicing. But it's probably the most interesting advancement on headset technology in a while, isn't it? And loads of people have got ANR now, so
yeah, and it's priced just above the Bose 20, isn't it? By only a few dollars or pounds.
Yeah. And I know quite a few people are of the older aviation, element of the community are interested in this hearing acuity thing, because clearly when you do suffer hearing loss, if you can have a headset that helps you with that, that's a plus.
Yeah, but they could have, made a big deal of a customizable color on the headset. If you pick your own,
I'm not too sure of the bronze color.
Yeah, it's sort of Buick from about 1973, isn't it? That color.
Buick, or from that age, or if you into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's a bit Iron Man. So
or maybe there could be an aftermarket way of doing it, but it would be good to
you could just get an aerosol and spray it.
Match the color of your aircraft, and
that's it. I'll probably get a letter from Lightspeed going, please don't encourage people to spray paint our headsets. But yeah, no, interesting bit of tech that, and I've used Lightspeed stuff in the past. We've tested quite a lot of it, and they do make quite a nice product. So it'll be interesting to get our hands on that and see how it compares to others in the field.
So answering Cap Burton's question, is the sensor in the headset or the battery box? It's in the headset. Cap. Yeah. It also comes with an app, which the app connects with the headset, and you can record over a period of time, like CO2 levels, and you can record conversations and things like that. So it's a very powerful app as well.
Yes, and they built that. They've used elements from headsets of the past. There was their previous top of the line headset, which is the now long forgotten Zulu PFX, had kind of the early generation of the hearing acuity thing. It had a mapping capability to give you the best oral response, and obviously they've got it looks kind of heavily built on their the Zulu 3, which has been a very popular headset with pilots. So and they've had the app that records for quite a bit. So they're just kind of pulling all the good elements together.
Yeah, Johnny. Unleaded fuel.
So finally, the FAA in the US have approved GAMI's 100 UL. GAMI is the General Aviation Modifications Incorporated. So they've received an STC now, so that this 100 UL fuel can be used in every spark ignition engine and every airframe powered by those engines in the GA world, which is good. It's obviously been welcomed across the USA, and we'll see how things pan out. I mean, there are obviously straight away that it's not going to be available everywhere. There's distribution issues to overcome. There's who's going to manufacture it in the first place, because it can't sort of work hand in hand with 100LL and other fuels. It doesn't flow. You know, when you talk about fuels flowing through pipelines and things, there's all sorts of stuff that has to happen when you change fuel between pipelines. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see how it pans out. But as other people have said, you know, will it become mainstream when we finally set an end date for 100LL? Are we going to have to say 100LL will be gone at this point?
Yeah,
and that will give manufacturers and distributors enough of a push to actually make it happen.
Yeah, I think one big distributor has already signed up for it, hasn't it? So, and I think the big plus is that unleaded aviation fuel fits much better into the regular unleaded fuel distribution network because it's not got lead in it. So hopefully, long-term wise, that's good for us.
Yeah. I think it's California's going to get it first because there's already some airfields out there who have been prevented by local councils instead to selling leaded fuel. So there's a lot of pilots screaming for unleaded 100-octane fuel and in California. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah, your news item about the BWPA scholarships.
That's quite apt, isn't it, really, that I'm doing that bit? So, yeah, the British Women Pilots Association, they just announced their 2022 winners, which is very exciting. One thing I'm really glad that they put in there is actually how many women applied, because I was curious as to how many applications they get. So they had 200 women apply, and that was for 22 scholarships they managed to give out this year. So there's a big variety of scholarships. There's some called Flying High. Some of them are for sort of starting off unqualified pilots to get their first taste of flight. Some of them are post PPL and just to continue our building and stuff. And there's also a heli center one, which is a full CPLH course. That one sounded really interesting. And there was one name which sort of stuck out to me, and that was Amelia Richardson. And she she was awarded the Flying Start. I don't know if you guys know her. She's on Instagram called the Amelia Glider Pilot. She's got about 84,000 followers, and she's really creating a name for herself, actually, in the gliding world. So she's amazing, really. She's only 15 years old.
Wow.
And and it said in the article as well that her dreams don't stop at gliding, and she really wants to go to fast jets one day. So
for a moment, I thought you were going to say 84,000 hours. It's like, wow, she's been working hard.
I'd love to know how many hours she has got, because it seems like she is doing a lot of flying at the moment, and she's very involved with the gliding sort of community, which is really nice to see. So yeah, it's really, really exciting. It's really nice to see that many people applying, and to give away 22 is amazing.
And we have a winner.
Congratulations, Steph. All the hard work.
So a bit of a controversial thing perhaps to say, but do you really think we need a women's pilot association? I mean, we've got AOPA, which is a pilots association. Why do we specifically need a women's pilot association?
I don't know. I'm going to say something really controversial here and go, it looks like by awarding all these scholarships that BWPA have probably done something better than AOPA here, haven't they?
You could possibly say that.
Maybe it will get to the point one day where the ratio of men to women pilots will be equal, and then there will be no need for it. But until then, perhaps there's a couple of scholarships which are for absolute beginners, for newbies, people that wouldn't have been able to afford it, and maybe women who hadn't thought it was accessible, and this could actually lead to them having a career in aviation, whereas before they might not have considered it. So it's just getting that foot in the door and just starting it. You never know, do you?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say similar to you, Ed, and look at the outputs.
Yeah, exactly.
The BWPA are doing a hell of a lot, and well done to them.
That's it. Yeah, anything that encourages people to learn to fly, that's a good thing, isn't it? And if it happens to be gender specific, I don't see a problem in that. A bit like when there's stuff for young people, and the old people go rah 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 rah. Young people, what's the problem here? Anything that encourages more people to fly is a good thing.
Yeah,
I think but the BWPA are really active as well in sort of doing regional meetings actually. So I'm a member of the association. I haven't been to one of them yet, just haven't been able to, but they're really active in getting all the women together actually and doing these regional meetings, which is quite cool, really.
Yeah. There we go. And Steph Smith says BWPA isn't just women. Men that support women in aviation are welcome to join as members. See,
there you go, Ed.
There you go. Martin Bluesby going in and says, yes, so you can, Martin. So, Martin, we expect to hear that you've signed up next week.
They're going to have loads of new sign-ups, aren't they? Their website's going to crash.
Yeah.
Well, I did talk to Annabelle Cook, who is a key part of the BWPA. I talked to her earlier today, and they're saying they've had an enormous response to these scholarships, not just the original, when they were looking for people to apply, but also since they published the results. And they're actually sort of actively thinking, well, how do they take it from here? Because it's really been a huge success for them. They've done very well as an association.
Yeah. Cat Bernard, there's an interesting stat because only 10% of airline pilots are women, and because many mums still only think that flight attendant is possible for their daughters. So anything that you can do to change that perception is a good thing. Yeah.
I sort of love to know year on year how many people have applied. So I'd love to know last year how many, scholarships they gave out and how many people applied, and just see what the trend is, how much it's increasing. That'd be quite, interesting to know, I think.
Maybe Dave can give you that task for one of your next things that you write for Flyer.
Roger, I will do it.
Oh, you're on. Right, just moving on a little bit. Actually, part of the next story is about a chap called Mike Pearson, who's the manager of Popham Airfield. He's been appointed the new General Aviation Advocate by the Department for Transport. What Mike's job is to encourage and represent and raise the profile of general aviation. We have an interview with Mike on the Flyer website and Flyer TV. A lovely interview that Ed did at the LAA rally with Mike. Mike will follow the previous GA advocate, Phil Dunnington, who passed away in 2021. So it's one of the last acts of Grant Shapps was to appoint Mike. This is Grant, because Grant hasn't made it through the cabinet reshuffle, and he's no longer Secretary of State for Transport. However, perhaps a bit strangely, the aviation minister who Grant appointed, Robert Courts, has made it through and is still the aviation minister. So, and probably because Robert Courts has got quite an interest in aviation. He's particularly interested in the historic side of it, and so he's got through. Which is good. It's the first bit of continuity we've had in the aviation minister for some time.
That's good. Yeah, but going back to Mike's appointment, Mike, he did a tremendous job. He does a tremendous job at Popham. Popham is, as one of the things he says in the interview that he gave us, Popham is one of the few profitable airfields in the UK, and he and his team have done a tremendous amount of work to make it a fantastic venue, and they've got lots of exhibitions and events going on there. The Popham grassroots flying was fantastic, and I think I'm pretty hopeful he's going to do a really great job as a GA advocate. Yep,
it's all very positive. Moving on, with time's ticking away. Chirp, new app, Johnny.
Yeah. So if anybody, probably most of us have heard of Chirp, but they've just released a new app. If you haven't heard of Chirp, it's the Confidential Human Factors Incident Reporting Program. And they basically publish reports based on things like human skills, performance and training, rules, procedures, regulations, all that kind of thing. And Steve Ford, who's the director of Chirp, said they've just launched a new app and a redesigned website to make reporting as easy as possible and as accessible as possible. And they're basically looking at changing what they've said there hasn't changed is their reliance on people. So part of this whole app and website refresh is to make it even easier for pilots like us to report things as and when they happen. So they've created a bit of a new approach. So the new site makes accessing and filling out reports easier. New publications are now web articles, so they're much easier to read on devices. And obviously, something that I learned the other day is the maritime sector use this as well. And so they've combined both maritime and aviation sectors into the same place. And you can actually submit reports on the go from the app on your phone.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, Johnny.
No, I was just going to say, it is a really good app. You can open it up and just flick through and read reports straight away.
And just imagine if Nats looked at that and went, cool, you know, we could come up with an easy to use app like this for NOTAM data and things like that for people. One thing I did note, it was being discussed in the Flyer forum, and there was initially some, looking at some of the screenshots, a couple of people took that it was maybe they're like, well, I'm not sure I want to go around reporting people. It's like, no, it's not for reporting people.
And the important thing is it is confidential as well. So
yes, that's it.
Yeah. So let's move on. Ed, you've got the slightly strange one, Gloucester.
Oh yeah, the Gloucester has some new landing fees, but they've managed to come up with a new tariff of landing fees that is incredibly complex. I think we've got there's a screenshot here of the new scale of charges. Basically, there's a standard landing fee, but then there's the question of if you're refueling, and there's 3 levels of discount depending on how much fuel you uplift. And then if you've been training, and if you're a diesel aircraft, and if you have a silencer, and maybe if you're going to do circuits, and possibly you're a historic type. And then as if that wasn't enough, how much do you weigh and how many engines do you have? So Gloucester, we salute you for coming up with possibly one of the world's wackiest scale of charges cards. So yes, so if you go in there, don't yes, maybe get one of them to explain how much you owe them. Poor old Darren, rolling his eyes there.
Just give them your reg and let them figure it out, because that looked like a headache.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you almost want them to go along and get to a certain number, and you go, oh, did I mention I was historic?
Yeah, that's a shame, really.
Yes, we should make aviation should be about simple solutions.
It's complicated enough as it is. Yep.
Yes.
So what is very simple is the Jetson single-person electric vertical takeoff and landing flying machine called an eVTOL. This is it. It's got on sale. They're making it. It costs $92,000. The bad news is, should you want one, is that the entire production for 2022 and 2023 has already sold out. We don't know the numbers involved, so they may only be making one a year. But at the same time as they announced this, the price, they also announced a new research and development and production site in Arezzo, Tuscany, on a private airfield. Now, this just makes you feel sick if you like Italy, like I do. It's got an 800-meter airstrip and a medieval building to build things in. It's just perfect.
So they've gone somewhere with an 800-meter airstrip with an eVTOL.
Yes. So people can fly in. People can fly in.
Well, if they needed a test pilot, Dave, maybe you could put yourself forward.
That'd be a great flight test.
For a moment there, Sarah, I thought you were volunteering yourself, but I like the way you segued it straight into Dave doing it.
No, he said he loves Italy, so it was just a suggestion.
No, I'd go and fly it. Why wouldn't you? Sounds easy.
I've got a feeling the production numbers, it's something like 12 or 14 a year, isn't it? So
right.
Yeah. They do say that the unique flight computer makes flying extremely easy. Your left hand controls altitude, while the right hand controls direction. It's an intuitive system that makes everyone a pilot in less than 5 minutes.
River Oxford, excellent. I can get both hands cut off at the same time. Yeah, don't when you're flying and you see your friends left and right, don't kind of release the controls and just kind of wave out the sides.
Do you guys know what license it requires?
That's a good question. I'm guessing, well, it's definitely going to require some kind of license, because even if it somehow falls into SSDR, and it possibly might not even do that, because it probably is not going to have a stall speed, is it? So,
yeah. You're going to need a lot of land though to buy one.
Yes, and if you're going to all these videos, you never see an eVTOL kind of taking off and going to like 2,000 feet and cruising around, do you? Clearly, because they're all terrified of the fall to the ground.
And you never hear the noise either. There's always music.
No, there's always music. Partly because it probably sounds like.
People screaming.
Yeah.
What's that sound? Yeah. Can you do it again?
No. I can only do that once. I'll probably be hoarse if I do that twice.
Right.
So I think Nick Allen is responding to the idea of Dave flight testing the Jetson by saying that I'd buy tickets for either that or flying it himself. Cats, I think cats like drone pilot Sarah.
It would, I guess, if you're in Tuscany, it would make a good way of drying vines and
yes,
that kind of thing. So maybe that's what they're aiming for.
And in that video, if you look at that screenshot, which is from the video, I would feel a bit nervous flying around in something with 8 exposed rotors near trees and power lines.
I did note the power lines there. I think that looks a bit terrifying. That whole picture doesn't appeal to me at all.
No. And it has got just 15 minutes endurance. So at some point, you're going to be going down, hopefully softly.
Yes. Well, at that point, you've flown the length of your Tuscan airstrip, haven't you? So a few times at 50 feet.
Yep. So, Ed, it seemed like a little while ago now, but you're going to talk about the LAA grassroots flying.
Yes, yeah, and obviously our memories of the grassroots flying at Popham are fading fast in the rearview mirror, but you can catch up on some of the highlights from LAA's big fly-in. We've got an online report and video, and I'll post a link to that in the comments in a moment. There were 3,000 visitors to Popham over the 3 days of the event, with 30 exhibitors and 350 aircraft during the weekend. Weather was a little bit kind of off to a dodgy start on Friday and Saturday, but both of those days kind of finished with lovely afternoons. And the vibe there was really, really good. It was a lovely event. Popham and its staff were exceptional. And I think LA set the expectation level for this one. They're probably a little bit purposely low. And actually, I think people were all very kind of pleasantly surprised by it. And I think everyone generally had a good time. So there were plenty of long-distance visitors, a few guys from France, Belgium, Germany, and Sweden. There was a guy I'd last seen at Oshkosh, a Swiss chap in an RV6, who'd flown something like 140 hours going there and back and touring everywhere. And he pitched up at Popham. And there was a German guy, Herman, in an RV8, who was last seen in possibly one of the best videos online when he did RV8 to Greenland and when it did a bunch of aerobatics over an iceberg. So, and they were both of those guys were very, very lovely, very good ambassadors for aviation. But yeah, Popham was a good event. It was nice to see lots of you there. And if you want to catch up on what you missed, if you didn't go, then I'll stick it in the comments. As Paul Fraser-Bennison said, I loved that event. There we go, loved it. So, yeah, and Darren Lewis. We enjoyed it. Good to catch up with everyone.
What do we think the chances are of Popham for next year?
I would guess maybe who knows? It potentially showed potential for a kind of a small scale LAA fly-in, perhaps. Maybe not for the rally. I don't think though. The weather probably meant that the attendance was kind of throttled to a sufficient level that Popham never really ran out of space. But I think if it had been beautiful weather, it might have filled up pretty fast. But who knows? Maybe there's lessons learned and they might be able to find a bit more space. But I suspect it'll be a return to something a bit more conventional next year. Whether that will be at Cyril or not, I don't know. So.
Doesn't the slot system kind of ration the numbers?
It did, well, to a degree. And I think a lot of people were skeptical over, there was, a lot of people were kind of going, oh, it'll be chaos. And actually it really wasn't. The procedures, Popham ran their own set of procedures. There were arrival windows, which were half an hour slots. And I think it was probably 30 or 40 aeroplanes in that slot in each of those arrival windows. And so you didn't have a specific time, you just arrived in that time window. And that did, so that does control it a little bit. But But I think obviously the forecast in the run up to the weekend, Friday and Saturday were definitely going to be good. Sunday had terrible forecast. And ironically, Sunday was probably the one day where it dawned nicely. There wasn't any low-level fog. And actually, most of the day, it was really, really, really nice there. So, and obviously, Mac famous of Where's Mac Solo, he turned up and he was typically humble and lovely and just a super guy with his family, with Sam and B. It was really great to see them. So I even got a ride with Mac, a taxi ride from one side of the airfield to the other. Very surreal. I walked over because they'd arrived internationally, and he said, "Oh, do you want a lift?" You know, in the way that only teenagers with nice-looking microlights can do that. So
brilliant.
Yeah. We're talking about the nice-looking microlight, the Shark. There's some news about that coming out later this week, which we're sworn to secrecy at the moment, but there'll be a story on Flyer on Saturday, I think.
Yeah. Nice machine that, and just I think at the moment they can only build like 12 or 13 a year. So maybe I suspect there's probably a bit of demand for the Shark because the Rutherford family have probably have single-handedly done more to promote Shark sales than anyone else in the world.
Yeah,
I wonder how Shark they're feeling, because they kind of distance themselves completely from Max.
They did. Obviously, the family they went and actually bought, I think with the help of the sponsor ICD Soft, they actually bought Max aeroplane for that activity. And obviously, Mac has taken it back to its Henstridge now and now that he's gone back to school. So interestingly, and there was I think Sam said there's some talk of Zara's aeroplane possibly being wanted by the Smithsonian, which would be amazing. So,
wow,
yeah.
Blimey.
Right, that's the end of news. And
I thought we had one more.
I don't think
so. Dave forgot the news.
Well, there's Tailbeacon X, yes.
Ah, yes. Yeah, did I? Yeah. So also announced at LAA Grassroots Fly-In that the LAA had finally said that they approved that, following hotly in the footsteps of people like the CAA and EASA and the FAA, said that they approved the UAvionics Tailbeacon X Modest transponder for fitment in the LAA fleet. So this is a 1090 megahertz ADS-B transponder. Mounts as a rear in the rear light position, and it's controlled by the AV30 EFIS head unit. And the good news is it's a fantastic little light system, and literally light in weight as well. And it's a great way of adding a transponder if you're kind of packaging small. And obviously in the home built world, that's really quite useful. Yeah. Comment from probably the biggest attender of more fly-ins than anyone I know, Nigel Hitchman. Popham was great fun. Arrivals rate pretty slow though, so could have had more aircraft in the slot. Never the chaos that many people who never go to the rally predicted. Very true, Nigel. So,
so that's news, is it? That's done now. News.
Yes.
I'm going to rewind to something which we skipped earlier, which was join the Flyer Club. Yeah, so if you're not a member, you can join for £52 for the year, and we are working on. There's a few kind of logistical administrative things on the website before we can implement a monthly payment system for those that might not necessarily want to pay £52 up front. So that will be hopefully coming in the not too distant future. But yeah, you get access to loads of landing vouchers, free landing vouchers for airfields around the country. If you use just a handful of those, you'll make that £52 back in no time at all. We've also got discounts through retailers, even discounts from places like Ultimate High with their Top Gun experience. So do check it out. It's flyer.co.uk/membership. We do have another option of a reader level member, which is for people who either don't fly or aren't necessarily based in this country, who can't take advantage of some of the member benefits. So that just gives access to all the content, and being a Fly Club member also gives you access to every piece of content on the website. So,
and am I right in thinking, Johnny, that there might be a new discount to announce coming up soon?
Yeah, hopefully next week. It's a completely new type of discount, which would be really good for members.
But I have to say, a pretty bloody good one. So
yeah.
Excellent.
Right.
Well,
so it's probably worth explaining that we don't have our guest tonight, who was going to be the same guest we had last week, Richard from the Cornwall Aviation Heritage Centre. We hopefully get him on next week. So in the meantime, I think it's time for.
Very good. Yes. So this week, with news that Popham Airfield's Mike Pearson has been named as the new General Aviation Advocate by the Department for Transport, that got us thinking, what aeroplane do we think would be a great advocate to have for GA in our fancy hangar? So obviously, if you've got your suggestions, stick it in the comments. Otherwise, who's first?
I think we'll go with Dave first.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought this through very carefully. Imagine you're at the airfield at an open day with a bunch of people wanting to go flying for the first time. And you're the organizer. You stand up and say, right, all those people who want to fly in the equivalent of a 50-year-old Ford Cortina for a quiet bimble around the local area, stand over there. All those who want to go flying in the equivalent of a Porsche 911 GT3 driven by Jetson button with loops, spins, rolls, and much, much more, stand over there. Who do you think is going to have the bigger queue? The Jetson button queue. So I have chosen the Porsche GT3 of the flying world, which I think is the extra 330 LX, the two-seat version of the multiple World Championship winning aerobatic aircraft, because this will give people an absolute thrill about what aviation flying is all about. Some of them might come back a little bit green, but they'll remember it for the rest of their lives. They'll probably jump out of the aircraft giggling and falling over and haven't got any balance left, but they'll enjoy it. They'll remember it.
I was going to say, Dave, does this come with a free sick bag?
I think you'll find that most people with a two-seat extra 330 LX will have a bunch of sick bags in the passenger seat.
You've definitely got for one end of the spectrum there, Dave.
That is, yes, definitely. And I've Dave, have you flown? Have you done much flying in the front seat of an extra?
I have flown in the front seat of an extra. I did have somebody very good at flying right behind me, Greeners, Mike Greenfield. Mark Greenfield. So I have flown in an extra, and I found it a fantastic aeroplane. And yes, we did all that, loops, spins, rolls, all that kind of stuff. And yes, I did feel ill at the end of it.
I think the extra is an amazing aeroplane, but I think for your passenger up front, you can sit quite low. Your head's kind of surrounded by wing, and there's a lot of tubes and things, and there's like wing everywhere. But I guess if you turn it upside down, you can see a lot of ground and things.
You can.
Ground and sky and ground.
And if you go into, say, multiple spins, you can see an awful lot of the countryside going past.
And your passengers' stomach contents, probably.
Probably, yes. Right. Who's next?
Right, Sarah, do you want to go next?
Yes, I mean, I went very calm compared to Dave. I mean, what I was going to choose was a Cessna 172 because I thought it's a great all-rounder, it's a great training aircraft, but then I thought it was a little bit boring. So I've gone for the nose wheel Eurofox, which is, I absolutely love this aircraft. I mean, I obviously had experience flying the tail wheel. Didn't choose the tail wheel for this because we all know that nose wheel is slightly easier for a newbie, but it is a really fun aircraft and the views from it are absolutely stunning. And I think it's a really nice, gentle flight, but it's got the views are just amazing because the glass, I don't know if you guys have been in one, but the door is sort of glass all the way down. The one that I flew was completely glass. So it was much more glass on the door than that. And the view was amazing. It was almost like you were in a helicopter, the way that you could see down. So that's what I went for. So slightly more tame.
And that's a nice, because obviously if you give your person an introduction and you go, this is GA, and you can go, and actually you can go out and you can either well, I'm not sure if you can buy the kits anymore to build them, but you can certainly go out and buy them as a 600 kg ready to fly microlight now. So.
And they come with so many different engine types. And I know that Eurofox at Lukesfield are just absolutely inundated. There's a 2.5-year waiting list now for them. But also there's quite a few schools that are using them to train on, which I didn't know. So, I mean, I think it's a really good aircraft. And also the panel's quite simple. I don't know about you, but I mean, when I got into the Cessna 172 for the first time, the amount that was in it, the VOR, the DME, everything was a bit overwhelming. And then when you get into the Eurofox in comparison, it's all quite nice and simple. It doesn't look so scary. So I think for a newbie and a sort of an introduction to aviation, I think it's quite a good one.
Okay, Jonathan said, nice aeroplane, wheel at the wrong end.
Obviously, we know that, but
if Darren's like nose wheel, but I can see the logic for picking a nose wheel over a tail wheel. So
the tail wheel version is a really good training aircraft for tail wheel. That's what I learnt my tail wheel on, and it's a very sort of, I would say one of the easiest tail wheel you could probably fly.
Yes.
So.
Did you notice the registration on that aircraft in the picture, Sarah?
Stand by.
Gee, why no?
The one that I wanted to show, I'll have to, maybe I can add it later somehow, but it was G Kermit, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. It went to the Popham Air Show a couple of months ago. So it's green, just like Kermit the Frog, and the reg is G Kermit, and it's built by Luke Williams, who works for Eurofox at Lukesfield.
And when you say green, you actually mean Kermit green, don't you? It is vibrant.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
It's so bright green. I mean, when I saw it and I saw the reg, I was like, that is absolutely fantastic. I love it. And it's so swish, the amount of gadgets he's put inside it, and it's all lit up. Everything is, you turn the master on and there's just lights behind every dial. I mean, he's a young lad who's done it. He's done a really good job with that aircraft. And he's got his whole PPL on it, actually.
Fantastic.
NPPL.
Yeah. And there's like lawn green, and then there's green screen green, and it is very green.
it's bright.
Very good. Right, I'll go next. So I've gone, I reckon, middle of the road with my choice. You can do a bit of everything in it, and surprise, surprise, it's an RV. So I've picked the 7 for no other reason than I think it's the most produced, but most built, isn't it, Ed? Or is the 6 still holding?
That would be the RV6, Johnny. And the RV6 is still the world's most popular kit plane. But the RV7 is coming along fast.
Yeah, the 7 isn't far behind. And I'd pick it because it's, it's a tandem, side by side for a start. So it's a bit more friendly in terms of if you're taking up a passenger who's never flown before. And you can do a bit of everything. You can aerobat these comfortably 2 up, which you can't do with the 6. But I think it'd be a good introduction to aviation. You can tear around fast. You can go into small strips. You can go into big airports. You can do some loops and some rolls and all that kind of thing. You don't get as much of a good view of the ground. And I think when people fly for the first time, they're interested in looking at the ground. So low wing airplanes aren't necessarily the best thing. But if you can turn them upside down, then you can still tick that box.
So it's funny you should say all those things at the end, Johnny, because I think I've got the ultimate, the perfect solution here. So I went for this, and this is the clipped wing Cub. Now, we all know that the Cub taught the world to fly, and anyone who's seen the magical videos of Cub owner Joe Costanza on Instagram knows that pilots and enthusiasts the world over just love to watch the beauty of simple Cub flight. Door open, bimbling the Cub is just a perfect connection to the joy and beauty of flight. Now, a long time ago, when we started Fancy Hangar, we had perfect bimbling aeroplane, and I won with the regular J3 Cub. And so this time, I picked the clip wing Cub. And that's because you can have all the normal joy of flight the Cub gives you, and you can have the door open. And like Johnny says, I think passengers want to see the ground and feel that connection. But the brilliant thing with the Clipwing Cub is it's aerobatic, only really very mildly. But you can, if you want to, turn the world upside down. You can give them a loop, you can give them a roll. You have to work quite hard at it, but it will do that. And so for that purpose, I would have, and I think a Clipwing Cub in my fancy hangar, I think would be perfect for giving people, giving non-aviators their first flight. So, and it looks like it might be a popular choice.
Oh no!
There's a surprise.
Yes.
Yeah. So I nearly had Nigel Hitchman's vote.
Yes. Johnny wins so far unless Ed chooses a Cub. Well, there we go. Just looking back through things. So we had Paul Fraser-Benison says Sarah wins. Michael Ward said a Cub, obviously. Dave should have gone for a Cessna. Darren Lewington says RV8 in a Cub. Ask me how I know. Dave wins. Because my money would have been on a modern gyrocopter. And I like modern gyrocopters, but they do shake a lot. Julian Treadwell says, I'd go with a Cub. Cloudhopper says, power to the Eurofox. Kat Burton says, good choice, Sarah, on your Eurofox. River Rock says, DA42. Smooth comfort in a manageable package. Jonathan Smith said, the Eurofox flying at Old Warden this year attracted a very pleasant bunch of pilots. Clearly, they're good eggs, Eurofox pilots. David E said, the new Piper Pilot 100i. Darren says, Johnny storms into the lead. What else we got? Johnny wins so far unless Ed chooses a Cub. Ed wins. I'd go with a Cub. Nigel wins. Where was Nigel's choice? Oh, that was Nigel's comment. Or maybe Ed wins. Ed wins. Ed wins. Take the pants off. I like the pants, Darren. I do like a trouser undercarriage, but I have to admit, on a Clipwing Cub, I do like a nice pair of pants. So Ed wins. Amazing the difference soaring the wings off. It's 40 inches off the inboard ends of both wing panels, and makes it. Yeah, it's quite a chunk of wing, but the Cub has got a lot of wing to work with. It had to have the pants. It's Ed. There we go. Sorry, Sarah, Dave, Ed, and Johnny. Ed wins. Ian wins. Oh no, he's not here. Dave wins. Oh, Mikey. Sooner than you than me, upside down in the Cub, but you still win. There we go. Ed's clipped it. It looks like I'm back on form.
Yeah.
For Sarah, love the Eurofox. So,
to be honest, if I could choose which one I'd be flying, I'd probably choose Ed's as well, to be honest.
Oh my goodness.
We're going to have to get you up in a vintage Piper, Sarah. So
I really want to.
Good. Come on down to Garston Farm. We'll make that happen for you. So
right. Well, the time is really whizzing
Look
past.
at that. We've managed to gas so much that we've filled the time.
Yes. So quickly on events. Saturday, Pilot Careers Live in Madrid, should you happen to be in Spain. One event is confirmed. I did contact all these people to make sure the event is going ahead. Microlight Day at Contenabus, that's going ahead. Saturday and Sunday, the gyro flying and camping at Sandown is confirmed. It's actually going to start on the Saturday with a formation flight clockwise around the island, Sandown to Sandown. That starts at 1300 local. There's also another microlight flying at Sutton Meadows, also confirmed. Lots of events cancelled, including the vintage aircraft flying at Cotswold Airport. And that's about it, I think.
Darren says, fancy hangar made me realise I love my Cub a tiny bit more than my RV. You know it's true, Darren.
That's a good combo to have, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Yeah.
Right.
Good stuff.
Well, look at that. We've kind of brought it. Do you think that the whole Flyer live stream with Ian is just, there's the risk of rant and, lots of Ian going off on a tangent. And look at it. We've kind of nailed the time tonight.
But
yeah, that was good.
We haven't got too many cock-ups with the fingers, have we, either?
No.
So,
but anyway, next week you can come back in.
Yes. So, thank you very much to SkyDemon for sponsoring us again. Thank you very much to Sarah for joining us. thank you very much for coming to watch us. That's it. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Fly
Bye-bye.
safe.